Smoot said, "It was like seeing the face of God." Of course, the language of God has long been associated with the beginning of all things. Is that language helpful? Distracting?
Here it is, look.
Or inevitable? We used to talk about the cold, dark emptiness of space, and now we discover it's not dark, it's full of light, it's full of energy, it has mass, and we find this mind-boggling to understand that
That's
the
what it
fabric
looks
of
like for real.
space actually means something material. Way back, we thought that time was the prime organizing principle and that the cosmos had always been there and would always be there. Then comes Einstein, and with his elegant sequence of equations shows us that no, time had a beginning, space had a beginning, the same beginning, that energy had a beginning, the same beginning, and that the prime organizing principle is not time, is light and the properties of light. Now this is mind-boggling because now we have to think in terms of time having a beginning. So what was before time? What was outside of space? Before there was energy, what was the force that threw it all into motion? And it's so mind-boggling that scientists today begin reaching for rather godlike language. And as physicists search for a unified theory or a theory of everything, the word God starts cropping up in their writings. Now, people with a religious belief in God suddenly get very excited and they say, look, now Einstein has put God back in the equation and you have to talk about God now, don't you? Well, yes and no. What a physicist means in reaching for the word God isn't necessarily the same as what a religious teacher might mean in reaching for the word God. And the reason that a lot of scientists, whether they're looking at quantum physics, the study of the very small, or cosmologists, the study of the very large, are a little bit wary of using the word God because of all the cultural associations that are layered on top of that word. When we use the word God, it's certainly a word that's big enough to allow us to think about before time or outside of space or before energy. But it's a word that implies a personality or personhood. And a physicist doesn't necessarily want to go there. And yes, it may be a point at which religious thought and scientific thought has to do a bit of a dance and intersect in a certain way. But there is a reason why I like to use the word source, or why others like to talk in terms of divine intelligence, but hold back a little bit from using the word God. The word God does imply a personality, I think, to most hearers. And you use that word and all of a sudden all your entrainment from religious backgrounds or even secular societies that have roots in a religious background, all sorts of associations suddenly get layered on that may or may not be helpful. In our studies of quantum phenomena,